And then let's make sure that you lock the meeting.
I will do that.
And then let's make sure that you lock the meeting.
Okay, and if anyone is watching the live stream, would you please mute it just so you're not coming through? But otherwise, sounds like we are live. I'm not seeing it on my end though. Give me another moment.
We are, and that was me.
Okay. All right. In that case, we are good to go, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. All right, welcome everyone to the December 2nd, 2021 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Can we go ahead and call the roll, please?
Chairman Lane,
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Here.
Commissioner Hardees,
Here.
Commissioner Gayu,
Here.
Commissioner Norton,
Here.
Commissioner Goon,
Here.
Commissioner Jacoby.
Here.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right, we do have a quorum. Our next item is approval of the meeting minutes from the September 9th meeting. I assume that it was a pretty lengthy meeting, so the minutes are pretty long. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read through them before now. Any comments or corrections from any of the commissioners? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that the meeting or the minutes from our September meeting be approved.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to approve the September 9th minutes from Commissioner Goon, seconded by Commissioner Hardees. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. Keep it up there for a little bit.
Aye.
And then I assume Commissioner Gayu, you are abstaining because you weren't here. Okay. Any objections? No? Okay. Motion passes with one abstention. Right. Okay, report from the chair is just my opportunity to let everybody know that if there are folks out there that are looking to speak during either a public invited to be heard or during one of the action items that we have, there will be an opportunity for you to do so. This screen will come up and provides you the information in order to call in. Once you do, we'll identify you by phone number and call on you to unmute and provide your comments. In both cases, you'd have 3 minutes to provide us with your information and comments, and that will come up 2 times this evening. So we'll let you know when it does. Thank you. Okay, next we have communications from our staff liaison. Ms. Kruger, what do you have for us tonight?
Great. I have a few things. Great to see everyone. The first thing, I just want to remind us that when we're voting on anything, even meeting minutes, because of our virtual bylaws for meetings, we need to be doing a roll call vote. So Maria will go through names. So just moving forward, let's remember to do that. A few items. I have a final tax credit approval for 1249 3rd Avenue. It's one we've approved the preliminary approval for, and everything is fine. So unless there are any objections, I'm going to handle this before the end of the year. It's time sensitive. The second item is that I received an interesting ask the other day, and it was too late to make it a full discussion item and have the applicant attend, but I'd like to add a discussion item at the end of today's meeting for 415 Emory. It's someone who's interested in buying the home and creating a studio to work. So I have a picture to show and just to have a quick conversation about it. In my last comment, kind of a sad one. Today will be my last meeting with you all as the liaison. I'll be leaving the city December 10th for another opportunity. But I just want to say that it's really been a pleasure working with all of you. I think you're doing some really amazing and important work here. And I'm excited to hear about how you continue to proceed over the next few years. The city planning staff is still uncertain how we'll fill this position. So in the meantime, if you have any questions related to commission work, you can direct those to Aaron Fostick and Don Burchett. And I will be sure to send an email before my last day, reiterating that and supplying emails. And if I get any additional information before then, I will be sure to let you know.
All right, thanks, Jade. Certainly sorry to hear that you're leaving us. It's been a pleasure having you on this board. I did have one question, just if you had any updates on that September project out on 119 that has it moved through any kind of planning process, or do we basically, I just want to know if you had an update on that.
Great. Yeah, I actually was going to talk about that today and I forgot to bring that up. So thanks for the reminder, Chair. That did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission 2 weeks ago, I believe, and I attended to answer any questions on behalf of Historic Preservation. The Planning and Zoning Commission did rule to move. They voted to move the project forward. Excuse me, but an added condition in their recommendation that the applicant need to work with staff, some historic preservation liaison, and accordingly with HBC about a recommendation for some way to better discuss the historic narrative. So, something more than just a plaque. So there will be more discussions about, what that could look like. But again, this goes to City Council and they're the ultimate decision maker. So Planning and Zoning was just a recommending body, similar to the way that you all are.
Great, thanks. Any of the other commissioners have questions for Ms. Kruger? Yeah, Commissioner Guy.
So, Jade, does that mean that City Council will hear our decision on that as well as Planning and Zoning, or will they just hear Planning and Zoning?
I believe the entire packet will go. So there'll be, the recommendation from Planning and Zoning, and then all the additional materials related to all the materials that went into the decision that you made at our meeting. So the memo that I wrote up on Historic Preservation Commission's behalf, in addition to the survey work that was done, the archaeological survey work, all of that will be in the packet.
Thanks. Any other questions for Jade? No? Okay, well, thanks again. And I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to wish you luck at the end of our hearing here. Okay, well, we'll move on to our next item agenda, which is public invited to be heard. This is, if there's anyone out there that would like to speak to something that is not otherwise on the agenda. If you have comments for one of our action items, then there'll be another public comment opportunity then. So information is on the screen. Dial in using the toll-free number, enter the meeting ID, and then we'll call on you when it is time. Please do remember to mute your live stream when you're speaking so that we don't get that terrible reverb. In the meantime, as a commission, we'll take a 5-minute break, turn mics and screens off, and we'll be back in just a few. Thank you.
Chair, we're about 30 seconds out from the 5-minute mark. I'm right now not seeing any callers in the chat.
Okay, thanks. Finish the 30 seconds, but I think.
Yeah, will do. Once it goes down, I will stop the share and I will let you know when the live stream has caught up with us.
Great, thank you.
And it looks like we are caught up.
Great, thanks. Well, I'll go ahead and close the public invited to be heard since we do not have anyone wishing to speak. And we will move on to new business. And we have an action item on the agenda, tax credit application for 719 3rd Avenue. Ms. Kruger, do you have a brief staff report for us?
I do, Commission. You might all recall this one because we did recently review this in August of 2020. I believe that was the meeting. We reviewed a certificate of appropriateness for the home at 719 3rd Avenue, the Dr. John Andrews house. This was the project where they were going to enclose the sleeping porch with the double hung windows. So we approved that COA and now they're back for this tax credit application. This is the preliminary and final tax credit application, so we can handle it all in one swoop. It meets all of the criteria for the state income tax credit program. After review of all the project's qualified costs, it totaled $14,280 between the windows, the structural supports, and the installation labor. From that, 20% of that would be $2,856. If approved, that would be the tax credit amount awarded. Upon, approval, the applicant would still need to pay the tax credit application fee for reviewing. So included in your packet is the application, photos of the house, the work, the existing conditions before the work, and the finished product. It looks very nice, as well as the COA from August of 2020. The applicant, Mr. Henry Stiles, is also available to answer any questions if you have them.
Great, thanks. Any questions for staff from commissioners before we give the floor to the applicant? No? Okay. The applicant is here. If do you wish to provide any additional information for us?
No, I think Jade summarized everything very nicely. I don't have much to add to that.
Okay. Great. Any questions for our applicant from commissioners? Not seeing any. I certainly offer that I thought it turned out really nicely. It's sharp and clean. And
yeah, we were very happy with it. There were huge delays in the project. I know everyone's having problems with construction now because of COVID. But yeah, other than that, we're very happy.
Great. Well, if there are no questions, is there any? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I keep forgetting this when we do this. We just really spend short, quick ones. We do need to open it up to public invited to basically a public comment. So if we have no questions for the applicant, we'll go ahead and provide the public hearing portion of this item. So again, the information for calling in is up on the screen. We'll sit for 5 minutes and see if anybody would like to provide comment from the public. All right, we'll take another break and be back.
Chair, we have about 30 seconds left. I'm not seeing any callers in the chat now.
Okay, great.
I'm going to drop the slide and then I'll let you know when we have caught up with the live stream.
Thank you.
And it looks like we are caught up.
Great, thank you. So I'll go ahead now and close the public hearing portion of this agenda item since we don't have anybody that wishes to speak. And at this point, is there any further discussion or any other questions from commissioners? And if not, I'd entertain a motion. Looks like we have a request for an approval of the preliminary and final state income tax credit application.
So moved.
Okay,
A second?
okay, so we have a motion to approve the preliminary and final state income tax credit application for 719 3rd Avenue as moved by Commissioner Guy, seconded by Commissioner Goon. Quick question. So Ms. Kruger, to your point about the vote, we need, is Maria going to just call us each off one by one, or how does this roll call work? Because we haven't been doing that.
Yeah, Maria will roll call vote.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll put it to the vote. Maria, do you want to go through?
Yes.
All those in favor, I guess, or I don't know. I guess we're going to go through, you're going to go through one by one.
One by one. Okay.
Okay.
Chairman Lane,
I vote yes.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardees,
Yes.
Commissioner Gayu,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Goon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacoby,
Yes.
unanimous.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So the motion passes unanimously. And so, yes, certainly appreciate the applicant. Good luck with the rest of the process, and appreciate your willingness to come before us and put a good small project together for us. All right, we'll go ahead and close that agenda item. And we have no more action items. We'll move on to a discussion item, an update on the Historic Preservation Code. What do you have for us, Jade?
Okay. So, as you know, we've all been working on this for a while. During our break, planning staff, including myself, met with the city attorney's office a couple of times to go through all of our red lines and really pick out those big policy items that, we discussed as a commission, but we're not quite sure on. So we were able to work through them. At the end of that, I think most of you know at this point that we did lose our land use attorney who specializes in land use and would have had greater insight into historic preservation and how it relates. So at the end of this review, we're continuing to work with our city attorney's office to see if we can get specific help for this project. And we might even need to include this in an RFP for further research. So at this point, it's still being worked on. It's not fallen off the radar. It is a priority. You'll be notified as soon as we have a really legally tight red line draft before it goes to city council for additional work. So it will go back to you before city council, and folks are working on it. And I think, you might remember some of those really big ticket policy items where, kind of our designation procedures, consent designation without owner consent, looking at demolition by neglect, and kind of those enforcements and penalty section, which was an entirely new chapter. So I think this just required a lot more legal review than we thought it would, very frankly. So still being worked on, but we really appreciate all of your work, and it will come back to you as soon as it can.
Thanks. Any of the commissioners have questions for Ms. Kruger? No.
And I just got a note that it looks like our planning director will be meeting with outside legal counsel about the amendments next week. So moving forward faster than we thought.
Great. That's good news. Do you have any idea, Jade, if there are items that are coming that would look like we would have a January meeting? I'm just trying to gauge, when the next time we're going to be talking.
That I would guess that January might be canceled and that we might meet in the first week of February. Honestly, I haven't received any applications that were nearly ready or close to complete, so I wouldn't expect any new materials. I can't say for certain because generally we ask for materials to be 3 weeks in advance, so technically someone would still have another week, but you'll be notified as soon as possible whether or not that meeting is canceled.
Okay, thanks. Just looking ahead to the start of the year, and obviously there's a lot of things in play with the code update, and then unfortunately having a new liaison, and we've talked for a while about the potential to have another, sort of planning session with the whole group, which sounds like might end up being a Zoom meeting still, but just looking forward to putting a few items out there for us to be working on as we move forward. And that initial meeting with a new liaison will probably be pretty important. So I appreciate the update. Any other questions for Ms. Kruger before we move on? No. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Can we discuss that 415 Emory?
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need a formal? I guess I should have probably done that earlier. I probably should have asked for an official addition to the agenda. I guess just to be, is there anyone who objects to talking about it on the agenda? No. Okay. We'll take that as good enough. All right. Yes.
And Dallas, can you please put that photo up that I sent to you? Okay, so this is, the applicant is looking at purchasing this home, which is why it's a little more time sensitive. And he's an artist and he needs a studio space in this garage. So 415 Emory, beautiful historic home. The garage is also, it was added later, and the carport here was an addition that wasn't made until the late 60s, so not original. What he's asking for is, the potential ability to remove that carport and expand the garage to make it into a feasible studio space. So, the applicant understands the process for, coming to get a certificate of appropriateness for any work done on the property because it is historic. And he understands that there's no in stone answer from this session because it's just a discussion item, but he just wanted to get a sense on whether or not the commission would think it's appropriate to alter this carport. In my opinion, since it was such a late addition, I think it is fine. But I thought I would bring it forward and see what others thought.
Thanks. Yeah, Commissioner Guy.
Well, I would say that it's over 50 years old. So I know we kind of think of that era as being not historic, but it is officially historic now. I guess, does he have any idea of, what he means by an addition? Is he gonna blow out that wall that we see there with the original window, siding, doors, to make a one big space? Or is he just wanting additional space? Because I could see it, legitimately potentially enclosing sort of that same geometric volume. But I would have some issues with, like blowing out that whole wall, which is historic material. My other question would be, how visible is this? Like, I have no idea of like street context here. Can you see this from the street?
I think that this is on the side, but I'm going to check on Google Maps really quick just to confirm. In terms of what he was thinking, I think he did mention potentially just expanding the space and not tearing it all down, but he wanted to hear what the commission as a whole thought might be the best option for creating additional space. Currently, the garage is 10 by 20, I believe. Let me take a look on Street View to see how visible this would be.
If I may, I'm familiar with the home. It's the garage is on the alley.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it looks like the house is behind that fence.
Yes.
On the deeper into the picture.
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks, Commissioner Jacoby. I don't think any of this would be visible from any angle.
And I guess I would probably not have so much heartburn about the carport piece, even though it is the 50 plus, maybe not as, I guess we have a tendency towards bias of the older, more traditional elements, but yeah, if the carport got more modified and the existing original garage was dealt with more delicately, that I think would probably be where I would be looking.
Okay, I'm happy to relay that information to the applicant. And again, they'll have to make their best judgment call on whether or not to move forward with that purchase. And they know the process that they need to go through and, bring it back to the Historic Preservation Commission, et cetera. So just to make sure I heard everything correctly and I can bring this back to them, if they were delicate with the garage and perhaps extended that carport or enclosed that structure, we might look more favorably on that.
Well, I would say, I'm not saying that they would necessarily need to keep the carport elements, which are basically just a roof and 3 posts, but that the new addition should not remove what is currently an exterior wall with a door and window in it. So it's essentially, they can expand it in the sense of having another room added on, and that I would suggest that the addition probably shouldn't be a much larger volume than is currently outlined by that carport.
I concur. I think they were looking I think the carport makes it 20 by 20. And I think that's what they were looking for in total of space. So, okay, that makes sense unless there are any additional comments from the commissioners.
Only that, again, if they can engage somebody, whether it's a builder has experience, or, there are a lot of other people around town and into Boulder that are familiar with working with these historic properties. It's always good to have somebody with that experience to be on board when they put their application together. Okay. If there are no other comments, we'll go ahead and close that. Thanks for bringing that to our attention and getting and asking for some feedback. Appreciate that. It's always good to see something a little earlier. And then we are all the way down to just comments from our HPC commission. It'll be a short meeting tonight. It's okay. Any commissioners have anything they'd like to share with the group? Commissioner Goon?
I just want to thank Jade for being so helpful all the time that I've been on the commission. It's been great working with you, and I wish you well in your new position.
And Commissioner Jacoby?
I was thinking about our last meeting, and up until that meeting, I wasn't familiar with the fact that we even had a certificate of merit. And I talked to Jade about this earlier, and I thought I should bring it up with everybody here. Might be something we want to discuss at a retreat, or I'm not sure how this would be approached. But Steve, you mentioned in our discussion of the landmark designation of the last house that these are truly landmark houses that we want to point out are exceptional. But the other factor that we considered is that we're also trying to preserve homes. And when we make a landmark designation, we both preserve them and point out that they're exceptional. This last house, we had questions about with this siding and whatnot, if it was exceptional, and discussed maybe a certificate of merit. Well, a certificate of merit really does nothing. It says, thanks very much, nice try, as far as I can tell. I don't think there's anything else with it. I was wondering if it is possible for us to modify the benefits and requirements of a certificate of merit so that it encompasses the preservation aspect, to make it a more useful tool for us. Could we provide incentives, tax incentives, for construction modifications for those places, but all modifications have to be reviewed by the HPC, similar to landmark designated homes, without making it a landmark home, without putting a brass plaque saying, you know, even with the plastic siding, whatnot, this is an exceptional home. It would make the certificate of merit a more useful tool for us and help us preserve homes without having to make every home that is older that has potential a landmark home. So I don't know how we would change that if we wanted to change the certificate of merit, how we would go about that. But I just thought I would mention that because it seemed like something that we should maybe consider.
Thanks, Commissioner. I think that could be a great topic to discuss in a retreat if we ever get there, for sure. Commissioner Gayu.
I would say that, when we do tax credits, we are representing the Office of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. And so we can't decide what we want to do with tax credits. Those guidelines and requirements are set by the state. We're essentially, sort of taking on some of those tasks for them. So I would just caution you about that. I mean, we can certainly, there could be some other benefits, perhaps on the local level, but, for state requirements, that wouldn't work.
I think that we shouldn't have all of the same carrots, have all the same benefits that preservation has, a landmark designation has. And maybe we could have city tax credits without state tax credits for construction as part of that certificate of merit. And maybe that would be enough to have people join and take the certificate of merit and keep working on their homes. And maybe at some point they could reapply for a landmark designation if they did improvements that we felt was appropriate.
Yeah, it certainly seems something worth talking about as a way to let people know that there are multiple paths towards preservation. I think that would be good. Any other commissioners have any comments they'd like to share? No. I do have one. 426 Emery Street has been sort of floated out there a couple times as maybe there's a little rumbling about what took place there. That was a project that was a pretty sizable addition to a landmark house. I have spoken with the owner, and they are very willing to give the commission a tour of the home if they are interested at all. And as full disclosure, some of you may or may not remember, I was actually the architect on that project. So, but if anyone's interested in actually taking a look at it in person and walking through with the owner and just to see, I can certainly get that arranged if we are. So put that out there. And if that's something you think might be of value, then maybe just ping me. And I don't know if can we meet, can we do something like that without it being a public hearing if we're just doing a field trip, assuming that there would be interest?
I think a field trip is fine, because I had also looked into trying to arrange a tour of the Callahan house for us. But I want to confirm. So let me do some checking with the higher powers, and I'll email you, just let you know.
Okay, great. Well, again, just if anybody is interested in actually having a look, just shoot me an email. And then other than that, yes, I'll reiterate, Ms. Kruger, we're very sorry to see you go. We liked your energy and professionalism here, and it was fun having you on this commission. So good luck in your endeavors from here, and hopefully we'll get someone who's at least an equal as our next liaison. Okay. Let's see, then we'll close the HPC commission comments. Did our city council, I don't know that Aaron made it, did he? No, I don't think so. So we'll go
Chair,
ahead.
our council representative did not make it.
Right, okay. Okay, so no comments from council, which puts us to adjournment. Do we have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
All right. I have a motion to
Second
adjourn.
Second.
Whoop, all right, I got a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Jacoby and a second from Commissioner Carpenter. Do we need roll call on this one, or can we just, I'm going to say, we could just put our hands up and say, we're all happy, approve adjournment. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Good luck, Jade. And we'll see you. Everybody have a great holiday season, and we'll see you on the other side of the year.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thanks, Jade.
Happy holidays.